Hello folks, I'm Ed Overstreet. Welcome to the Night Sky Imaging YouTube channel. I am going to process some data that I took on May the 7th of M101 using an Orion Sky Glow filter. I've had the filter for some time, I just don't use it, and not sure why. Uh, I've opted for other filters that I bought in more recent years. So it's a full moon or nearly one, nearly full, and I'm in light polluted skies, so I really didn't count on any signal of consequence. And but I thought I would just use the sky glow and just check it out. So let me show you what I found out, and you guys can be the judge. I'm on the Orion website, and this is the filter that I'm using. I have no idea what I paid for it, but it's been 10 years. I know I've had it for at least 10 years because I've been using Optilong filters and astronomic filters, uh, IR UV cut, and Vader filters. Uh, I just don't even remember buying this. Uh, but I have it, and I tried it, and it's on sale. It was 159. I'm not sure what I paid for it. It's selling now for 135. And, there's nothing cheap in astronomy, but if a filter works and mitigates the effects of sky glow from light pollution and the moon and allows you to image, then uh, it becomes an integral part of your equipment, and that kind of equipment usually costs you an arm and a leg. And so in the world of filters, $140 for a filter, in my opinion, is a good thing. So let's go to PixInsight and let's process this data, and let me show you, again, let you guys be the judge. So I'm going to head over to Pix. I hope I have it open, and I do. I'm going to load my process icons, and I'm going to load. I have a mini set, and I have all of them. I want to load all of them. I'm not sure what I'm going to use. I've decided I'm not going to blink these images or run the subframe selector because, well, the signal isn't going. It'll probably refer to very few fixtures as being acceptable. So I'm not even going to try. And I could blink through them. I'm not going to. So let's open up the weighted batch processing script. This is going to take the longest time, but I'll put you guys on pause. And let's set it up. And so I want to make sure it's reset to defaults, factory defaults. So what you'll see when you open up will be what I've got, and there are no files, so you don't have to select that. And I'm going to go, I actually have my lights, my darks, my bias, and my flats all in one directory. So I can load them, bias first, darks, flats, and lights, or just use the files and go to the different folders. But since I have them all together, this is faster. I'm just going to open up the directory, and let me go to the Astro 5 2023 images, May the 7th, and let's go to April. I know I imaged this back in April. Well, I imaged it on 418 M101, and I wasn't wrestling with the moon when I did. So let me go back. Forgot what I was doing. And Astro 5 223. We're in May the 7th. And I'm just going to open up and say I have my bias, my darks, my flats, and my lights. So let's see if they'll populate. And PixInsight will sort everything out, hopefully. Okay, this is telling me what it found. 175 frames altogether, 75 lights, 50 flats. I don't need 50 flats. As a matter of fact, to make this go faster, we're going to go down to, we're just going to keep 30 flats. So I'll remove selected, and darks, 20, bias, 30, that's good, fine, okay. So over where I have my lights, well actually, first thing I want to do is uncheck interactive in case of failure for plate solving. And I don't want interactive in case of a normalization failure checked either, because the weighted batch processing script will stop and wait for you to make changes so that it can plate solve, or it can find a reference frame for normalization. So I want it to run, and if it fails to find a good reference file, then I'll do that in after the fact. If it can't plate solve, then I'll use image solver and I'll plate solve after the fact. Everything else is left to default. Under flats, everything's going to be kept at defaults. Darks and bias, I won't change anything, and these are the default settings for the weighted batch processing script. The only thing that I've changed is interactive in the case of failure, and interactive in normalization reference, referencing the reference image. I'm not going to, I want the weighted batch processing script to run, because I'm planning on leaving until it finishes and come back when it's done. I don't want it to stop in mid-form and me come back and I got to interact with it and then walk away for it to finish. I also have auto crop. That comes up check default. There's no reason why you shouldn't have it defaulted. Okay, or set to default. I need a place to store this information, so I might as well go ahead and do that now. And I'm back in the, yeah, I'm in the right directory. And I'm going to call this 1-WBPP. And that's where we'll store it. I want the reference to be automatic. I'm going to just click purge file. There wasn't anything there. I'm going to select the best quality for this run. And that's that. I'm going to go to calibration tab, and I got a warning here. Okay, well, my exposures, is that right? Yep. Evidently, when I set up Image Sequence Generator Pro, I took 187 second exposures. Why, I don't know. I intended it to be 180 seconds. So my calibration files were 180 seconds, so they don't match. And it's going to tell me that the light frame warning down here differs from the master dark. So what I'm going to do to make this work is I'm going to optimize the master dark. And so now that's going away, and it's going to use this master dark as though it is 187 seconds, and it will scale it. Okay, I'm not going to change the literal value. I do have a cosmetic correction script, and it's right up here. I've saved that process. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. I'm sorry, I should have done this before. I'm going to bring this up. When you run the cosmetic script, the only thing that I changed to create my hot pixel removal in the weighted batch processing run is I check this box and I check hot sigma and I leave it at 3. Only thing I do is check it. It's already set at 3. And if you have cold pixels, you may want to go ahead and check this. I don't see any in my images, but if I start doing so, I'll check that. So that's the absolute only thing that you need. And I already have saved this, but if you want to keep this active, You can just drag this to your desktop and give it a name, and it becomes a process that you can use over and over again. So let's delete that, and let's open up the script again, weighted batch processing script, and it should take me back to exactly where I was, and the reason for that is I have save groups on exit checked. So if you have this checked, then if you happen to crash or it deletes, or you want to have to exit out in order to perform a function, just like I had to then, because none of these things can be activated when you've got this script open. It stops everything else in PixInsight from running when you've opened the weighted batch processing script. All right, so we're in calibration. We've got some more things to do. We have to select. Mine's called CC. Whatever name you give it, it'll show up here, and so you want to apply that. Under, this is a one-shot color camera, and this stands for color filter array. It's the bare matrix pattern that I have to set. Unfortunately, ZWO cameras, they do not write this to the FITS file, so the header doesn't have this information. You have to add that. And I want bilinear. I'll either use bilinear or super pixel, and I'm going to use bilinear and dither. And so I'm going to go, let's see, is there anything else I need to do? Yes, I'm going to go to flats, and I'm going to also select color filter array, and I want to scale. Separate color filter array scaling needs to be checked, and apply that to your flats. And let's go back here. We're going to have to optimize our dark. And let's see, anything else we need checked? You really get kind of punchy making sure and double checking that you have everything checked that you want checked. So the only other thing I think I have ahead of me is I have auto reference frame, so it's going to find it for me, hopefully. Let's see, we got 3 hours and 53 minutes is the total time, integration time. So, all right, over here I want to drizzle. I'm going to, under drizzle configuration, I'm going to enable it. I'm only going to drizzle one time. And the reason why is I've been told to. On the PixInsight forums, the creators of PixInsight recommend that if you're using a one-shot color camera only, it doesn't have any positive effect if you're shooting mono. But if you're using a one-shot color camera, that drizzle one time. And now if you're undersampled, you're going to want to drizzle 2 times. But at least drizzle 1 time. Leave the drop shrink at default, at square kernel, and everything else stays the same, and apply it to your images. And so you have drizzle now. So here's what we've got going. We've got our 187-second exposures, RGB color space, the time we're going to be drizzled, and we're actually ready to go. This is the pipeline, what's going to be done in order to produce a master light, a master dark, a master bias, and a master flat file. We're going to be told in diagnostics that our darks don't match. So it's saying that your light frames will be calibrated using the optimized master dark with an exposure time of 180 seconds. So we're okay with that. We expected that. And we're going to get the same message when we elect to run it, and we're ready to run it. I hope I haven't missed anything. And let's go, and I'll be back with you when this is done. One other thing just occurred to me. Let me head over to my browser, and the astronomy tools website, when you get there, just click on calculators, and under calculators it's CCD suitability. Open that up, and you're going to get this input screen, and you can put your telescope in. In my case, I had the Celestron Edge, so we're going to go down here. I needed to explain what I was using anyway. see here. I think every there we go, and that has a 2032 millimeter. Now I did have a 7x celestron reducer, bringing this down to 1420 or so millimeters. The camera that I use all the way at the bottom is the ZWO 533 one-shot color. It's this one. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I don't have okay scene. I have bad scene. So, and let's talk about scene just for a minute, what I mean by that. There are scene conditions when the stars are affected by transparency, by moisture, and it's anything and everything really other than light pollution. So I'm really talking about stars that are being affected by the atmosphere. And then you have another kind of, I call a scene condition, but it's when you have the light pollution issues. So not to be confused here, but I do have a scene. Let me show you what I have. When I bring up, I have several different apps that I use, but when I bring up this particular app, it is the Clear Sky Chart. If you want a clear sky, cleardarksky.com website, and you can find one near you. And if there's not one near you, apply to have your backyard identified as an observatory. And so there's not a clear sky chart or weather and scene conditions calculator near my home, so I've applied for, and I'm recognized by the Clear Dark Sky website. So that's why it's Overstreet Observatory, my last name. But at any rate, here's the scene, and it's rated to be average and good for tonight. Unfortunately, it's going to be raining. That doesn't matter. It's going to be, there's a new moon, a full moon just about, and but the scene is rated good. And the reason why is that the transparency here is rated poor. It is just due to the atmosphere and the expected conditions. I can go over here to, let me find it, I believe it's this, which also gives you a scene calculator, the atmospheric, but that's not what I want. Here's what I want. And so, I don't guess if I get it. All right, so tonight, scene is rated to be out of 5, a 1 to 5, with 5 being the best. It's rated to be 4. Again, we got rain and we have the moon out. You can see over here what are the celestial bodies out, and I have Venus and the moon, Venus and the moon, Venus and the moon. The moon at 82%. No, that's relative humidity, but it is about 80%. So at any rate, so I've got good seeing, but I'm still dealing with a massive light pollution. So that's what they're referring to here. And so tonight I would say I'm going to have okay seeing, but the night that I imaged this, it was considered bad seeing. So if I put in poor seeing, then I'm really undersampled. So I've gone from being slightly undersampled to really undersampled. If I happen to have good seeing, then I'm correctly sampled when you're in this green here. So this is the ideal pixel size. This is the ideal focal length and camera for my scene conditions. And but that wasn't the case. So I didn't need to drizzle 2 times. Now, had I had my Stellar View 333 millimeter and the 1600 ASI 1600 camera, I would have been slightly undersampled, and I would have needed, I would have drizzled 2 times because my stars would have been really, really, really pixelated. My small stars would have looked like a block, and the larger stars like 3 or 4 blocks. and when you drizzle, the blocks become smaller and you have more of them, and you have more of a defined round star. So you do increase the file size because of the interpolation, which is brilliant, because you really can't tell what you've done other than your computer slows when you process. But to me, it's worth it, and your file size doubles. So back to storage. All right, let's head back to. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. We're just moving along here, and I'm gonna pause till we're done. Okay, knock that out. So let's open it up. Open up our master auto cropped and drizzled image, and we want to go to Astro 5 2023 May, and the weighted batch processing script master, and so we have a master file there. We want to open up, and let's bring up our screen transfer function. And let's go ahead and see what the crop looks like. Not ain't too bad. So the stacking artifacts and the dithering, the combination of all of that, the autocrop opted to cut out, and that's probably what I would have cut out, and I manually done that. And if you still want to manually do that, you can go back and open up the uncropped version, and you may be able to save more real estate, and that's this one. So you have that option, and the next one will come up, and you'll get a rejection high, rejection low, and all that other stuff. But at any rate, this is the uncropped version. I'm going to just, wow, I like the signal. Wow. I had a feeling I was going to have some decent signal, because the information that was coming in with Sequence Generator Pro was surprising me. I had an ADU, my ADU average, mean ADU during the night ranged from 1500 to 1700, which is high. I knew I had sky glow, but really I expected it to be 5,000, 6,000 or more. I tried with exposures of 60 seconds, and I took an image, and the ADU was real low, but there was no signal. I bumped up to 90 seconds, and then 120, then 187, I guess, and when I had an ADU value mean of 1,500 and something, I thought, I'm gonna stop there, and I had some signal I could see, and I thought, that's good. Okay, well, I am going to go with the auto crop version, so I'm going to delete this. I don't need that, and assuming I'm going to go with it, let's see what that looks like. How about that? Well, I could stop here and just say I believe I'm a fan of the Orion Sky Glow filter. By the way, Orion has no idea I'm doing this. Nobody pays me for anything. I do not have a monetized YouTube channel or care to deal with that. I am going to change the name of this to RGB. I do videos because I love doing them. I love sharing. I learn from everybody. And if I watch a YouTube video and just pick up one idea and try it and like it, well, it's a success. And I watch, man, I am such a fan of Entering into Space and Chuck Aub and Warren Keller, Adam Block, and Peter Polak and Ron Beecher. Holly, I can go on, and Trevor Jones, and all of these guys that have been making YouTubes forever and ever and ever, videos that if it wasn't for them, I would still be trying to figure out which end of the telescope to put the camera on. So yay, and thank you guys. So that's what I'd try to do for folks that are trying to figure out a way to work with their images. If they can get anything from this, good. If they can't, then you may be entertained and be stumbling around trying to speak the King's English. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is make a copy of this. And I'm going to work on the clone, and I'm going to save this right over here. And I think I want to run Blur Exterminator to start this off and deal with my stars and run deconvolution. And in order to do that, if you have Blur Exterminator installed, it is not part of PixInsight. It is an additional purchase that needs to be made. It was developed by Russell Croman. And you know, I feel this way about software. I've got a lot of money tied up in telescopes, in eyepieces, in cameras, moonlight focusers, Pegasus Ultimate Power Boxes, just to name some of the equipment. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to invest in the software that's going to deliver the best results. I don't want to be struggling over here trying to make a picture and create something I don't know how to do. And so when these guys develop these scripts that are as easy to add and run, and the job that they do is so effective, I invest in that. It just makes sense to me. And to start scrimping, half of the job is capturing the image, the other half is making a picture out of it, and I'm going to figure out some way to afford those things that help me do that. So Star Exterminator, or StarNet 2, Noise Exterminator, Blur Exterminator. I don't see a need to have the gradient, the gray X, because DBE is just too good. And but those are some of the programs. Bill Blanchard has developed, forgot to mention him, I think it's another astro channel, or another astro imaging channel. He has a tremendous scripts. I've got all of his loaded up over here. And Lumatico, the Lazy Astronomer, Cuve, all of these guys, just brilliant. Now I'm rambling. Okay, so we're going to run Blur Exterminator, which is right here, I think. And we're going to, I'm going to really run this over to about 45. It's almost all the way. And I'm going to leave the halos alone. I have fat stars, and I didn't have great guiding, and they're bloated. I am pretty sure my RMS was like, it ran between 0.90 and 1.3 all night long. And when you have an image scale of 0.57, which is what I had with the edge and the, then my RMS was over 2 times my image scale, then I'm going to have bloated stars, and I got those. So I'm going to run this. Okay, that's looking good. I'm going to open up my original. Let's make them both the same size and put one on top of the other. And then I'm going to blink between those. Okay, this is before I ran Blur Exterminator, after. So it did tighten the stars, and it added some contrast to my galaxy. So that's impressive. Alrighty, I'm going to change the name of this by hitting the identifier, and I'm going to call this Blur X, and I'm going to drag that to the side and save this. And I do this for a couple of reasons. As I add a process, I'll save that, and the next process will be applied to the clone, because I may decide that I don't like anything I've done so far and I want to go back to a certain point. And yes, you can use the History Explorer, but visually I like to see exactly what I've done, And let's suppose it's a year from now and Russell Croman comes up with an absolute new script that I want to use on some of my prior images. I can come back here and go to the very place I would want to run it. So I feel I'm anal about it, so I've mentioned that in the past. But at any rate, it does take up more space, particularly when you're saving projects, which I want to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this as a project. I'm going to call this by its name, M101, and I'm going to save it in the May 7th directory right here, and that's good. And so I'll save this as I go along, as I add a process every few minutes, and then if I have a crash, and I do have those from time to time, I can come back and pick up where I left off. I have to get some coffee. Okay, so I now have a saved project, and everything I've done so far, if I exited out of this and retrieved and then opened PixInsight back up and retrieved that project, all of my process icons and everything you see here, plus the History Explorer's information, will be repopulated. Pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to run dynamic background extraction, and I'm going to bring up DBE, and I'm going to reset. Now I'm just going to keep these settings. These settings will have a tolerance of 2. Shadow relaxation, I'm going to move it from, I think the default is 2. I'm going to move that to 6. And the smoothing factor, in this case, I'm going to go up to 3.300. And you know, though, the gradient that I see, and there is one, isn't what I thought I was going to see with all the light pollution I had. It's darker here, and it's brighter here, and there's kind of a green cast. But gosh, it does look pretty decent. So I want to change my sample size to about 30, a little larger, so I can see where they're going. And I'm going to put a few of these around. I don't want to put them on a star or on any of the dust lanes or nebulosity. Just you don't need a lot of them, but you need a fair sampling. There's a galaxy there, and there's a galaxy down there. When you tighten up these stars, it's almost like you've got a wider view than you actually have at 1430 millimeters. I tell you what, anywhere else, I'm really infringing on some of the, you want to move that one out here. Do I need another one? Maybe one in here. Okay, now before I do anything else, because I'll forget, I'm going to save this setup and all of these settings. No, I'm not finished. I want to make sure I've got division and not subtraction in this image. I am going to normalize. I want to see what the background looks like, and I'm going to replace the target image, so I don't need a new image. So I'm going to save this process, and I'm going to call this just DBE M101. All right, let's run it. And let's see what the background looks like. And there's my gradient, brighter here, darker here, and so hopefully we got a good looking background. And yeah, that did it. So, wow. Yeah, I am impressed with the signal. Think about it, a full moon. It was so bright in my backyard, you could read a book when I imaged. So I am impressed with this. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to move this over to the area where I've got DBE stashed, and there we go. And I'm going to say, well, before I do that, let me create a new clone to work on, and I'll change the name of this to DBE. You know, I'm going to need to go back to some of my other videos that I've done that I did a year ago. Or see, I started this channel about a year ago, year and a half ago, because there are a lot of things I don't do anymore because of software programs like BlurX. I no longer I don't even shoot luminance when I do RGB mono because I really did the luminance to run deconvolution and develop a good sharp image and then apply that to my color. But BlurX just almost has eliminated the need for that, I think. I'm going to try both ways and compare, but I think BlurX is far superior. So a lot of these processes have changed my way of thinking about everything, so probably need to go back and delete almost all the PixInsight videos that I've done and just leave up the most recent ones, stuff that I'm doing right now. I'm going to do that. I don't know how long it's going to take to do that. I wonder if you can mass delete those. Anyway, so we have DBE, and by the way, that didn't. Let me delete this and bring this up and make a clone of this one, so I'll have DBE on it. I won't have to rename it. All right, let me make sure that I have a plate solved image, and sometimes when you run a process it will destroy your plate solved fit image data in the fits header, but I can tell that I have I actually can tell that I do have a plate solved image because the last two lines in the text are the RA and the declination data. In fact, if you move around, you can see the RA and the dec change. And if you wanted to plate solve and come back to this exact same place and you wanted to type in that address, just put your cursor right on the nose of the core of this galaxy, and it's 1403.12.927 and plus 5420, 54.30. And if you plate solve with that data, you should have pixel on pixel just about plate solve centering. So at any rate, I don't know why I went into that direction. Okay, so we have a plate solved image. So I'm ready. I think I could apply some noise reduction. Let me look at something else. I see a lot of green in here. I'm going to look at the background, and red is 0.0056. Green is 0.0141 and blue is 0.0113. So green is dominating, I'm not surprised, my sky. And so actually, before I get started, I'm going to go over here to SCNR, and I'm going to remove some of this green. I'm going to go down to about, say, 45%, and I may ultimately come back and eliminate more of that. Let's rerun another screen transfer function, and now let me look and see. Oh, well, my green is still 133. My green and my blues are alike. I don't have much red, but I've balanced the green and the blue. I wonder if I'll link these channels. Nah, still greenish bluish. Not surprised. Let's go ahead and run background neutralization, which I'm going to run it again when I do the spectrophotometric color calibration. I don't need to, but I probably will. And I'm going to let me first do this. I'm going to put the SCNR at 45 in here and make a clone and put this back up here, and let's run background neutralization now on this. And let's find that preview. Preview 1. Is this the right one? Yeah. And let's run it. Alright, let's see what it looks like. And let's link the channels, and there you go. So we now have, we get rid of the preview, we now have 0.0006, 0.006, 0.000. Okay, so we have the channels pretty much balanced now, and thank you, background neutralization. So now let's run photometric, spectral photometric calibration. If you're going to use this tool, you really don't have to do what I just did. I'm going to change this to background neutralization. But if you're going to run auto color, and or if you're going to use color calibration, the PixInsight processes, then you need to run the background neutralization beforehand. But in this case, I'm going to run it again. So I'm going to go to previews. I'll make another preview window. So let's make one there. And I've already got region of interest checked. So from preview, and you don't have to do this. This is what I'm going to do. And now I've got I'm using a 533 sensor by Sony, so I've got that. I don't have an IR UV cut filter because this sky glow filter is not IR UV. I just have a Sony sensor and RGB, and that's what I've got. Alright, I don't have a lot of stars, so it's going to be kind of a scarce scatter graph, but let's go ahead and apply photometric color calibration. And we are done. It is color calibrated. I'm going to leave that preview up because that's what I used when I ran it. And close this out. And I'm going to, hang on a minute. Identifier, spectral photometric color calibration. And so it's time to run a stretch, and I'm not sure quite how I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to, rather than use the generalized hyperbolic stretch, which under utilities is my stretch method of choice, I end up playing around with it too much to get it the way I like it, and it just takes a lot more time. It's worth investing in that time, but I'm going to use the histogram transformation tool, and we'll bring this up. And I want to make sure that I've reset this, and I've checked the history, and it's gone ahead and found this image that's active, and it has it loaded. I have this thing already stretched. I'm going to reset the stretch, make sure the channels are linked, and I'm going to drag this process, and I'm going to put it right on this bar right here. And so now I have transferred this stretch of the channels onto this histogram, and I'm going to unstretch it, and then I'm going to apply this process now to my image, and we will go from being linear to nonlinear. All right, done, and rename. Okay. It's time to save this project. I don't want to lose what I've done so far, so I'm going to stack that there. Actually, it's taking up some unnecessary real estate. I no longer need that, and I need some working room. I want to come in and see. The noise really isn't all that bad either, guys, for this light pollution filter. And if I remember looking at the data that I took on the 24th, I don't remember it being nearly any better than this, because I was concerned. I don't remember how many subs I had either. It's kind of hard to compare, but I'm just kind of impressed with. I even see some data out here on the outer, these dust lanes. It isn't much, but if I had another night to image, I think it would be, I could add to that. So at any rate, I'm going to save this project and just write over the one that I have. It's going to say, do you want to replace it? Absolutely. Okay, this next process I got from a YouTuber that his YouTube channel is called Entering Into Space, and while that was saving, I went over and loaded it. And why is okay, what is that down there? All right, here we got here we have his website, and somewhere in one of these videos, and I forget what the name of it was. It's been a while back. He's got an explanation for how he uses a new Lume, a Lume LRGB saturation technique, and that was one of the ideas I thought was just very clever. It's kind of one of those things that, why didn't I do that? But anyway, it's in one of those videos, and I'll show you what he did, because I do it now when I want to make some saturation changes and some luminosity changes. So let me head back to Pix, and I think though before no, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and make a no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and make a mask, or not a mask, but I'm going to create a luminosity image by checking on this icon, and this is just going to be Lume, because I'm going to use this as a mask later. And I'm going to move this over here somewhere, and but I think right now what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove the stars using Russell Croman's Star Exterminator. I'm going to have unscreened stars check, generate a star image. I want my stars, and I'm going to apply that. Alright, so I'm going to change the name of this to stars, and I am going to put this here, and I'm going to change this to starless. I'm going to make a copy, and I'm going to bring this over here to move it out, because these things grow. Range to the left, and just go ahead and move them up where this mask is. Get rid of that. Now I'm going to make I'm going to make a luminosity mask, and but I'm going to create two of these. I'll do one and another one, and I'm going to call this, I don't think I made another one, I'll have to do it again, Lume. I already got that. No, I have it with the stars, and so this is Lume Starless. Okay. Yay. So I'm going to put that up there, and then I need another luminance. This will be my mask, and I'm just going to call that And now I'm going to change this name to Starless. And I'm going to leave it open. I will make a copy, and I'm going to keep the clone saved. I want a copy of this, but I'm going to work on the Starless image because the software I'm going to use is going to require that this image be called Starless and that the stars be called stars. So the PixInsight math will be looking for this Starless named image and these stars. So for that reason, I do want to have a copy of this in case I need to start over and really screw things up, and instead of going back and thinking that's where I need to be, I'll just go back and start with the clone image. Alright, I want to take this first though, and I want to use this to work as a mask. I'm going to bring up the real-time preview, and I'm going to drag down the background, and I'm going to raise up the galaxy field, and that's good. And then I'm going to, with this mask, I'm going to run some convolution. So I'm going to go over here to convolution, and I'm going to create a real-time preview, and I'm going to bring this up some. I'm going to blur this a little bit like that. I didn't do it. Start again, didn't execute it, so process, convolution, and bring this up again. Get my real-time preview, and execute it. Okay, so here's my mask, and I'm going to bring my mask over here and apply it. Close this out, and I'm going to don't need to show the mask, but I'm going to be working on the galaxy. I want to saturate the galaxy. I don't want to saturate any background. I've got the background pretty balanced, so I really don't want to add any red, green, and blue pixels any more than are already there. I have to do some noise reduction. That'll help, but any work that I'm doing on the galaxy, I want it to be just on the galaxy for the most part. So I've got this mask that isolates everything but the galaxy. Now I'm going to bring up LRGB, and I'm going to disable red, green, and blue. This is what I got from entering into space. I don't know the guy's name. I need to watch a video, and he probably, I don't remember if he tells his name when he starts. I don't know. So I need the Starless Loom. I need this one right here. I don't make any changes to it. You leave it just the way you got it when you pulled the limits off of the information, off of the RGB image. Gosh, I can't talk. I'm going to drag that on top. Now, I may try to brighten this up just a little bit, and in order to do that, common sense would say you would move this to the right, but that would darken it. So you move it to the right, and I'm going to go to like 480, 0.480. But saturation, I'm going to drop this down to about 400. 410 is fine. Now I do recall that entering into space went down to about 340, and he did like 2 iterations, maybe 3. I would rather do more iterations but at a lesser amount. So going to the left with your sliders, going to saturate these pixels only in the galaxy, as this mask is protecting the background from the saturation. And so let's kind of zoom in a little bit and see how this works. That means we have company. All right, let's apply this. Well, I had to go check the door. We had company. Somebody trying to get us to change our lawn service. Okay, so it ran while I was gone, and we can go back, see what it was like. Now we have it applied. So I like that, so I'm going to do it again. And I'll probably do this 5 or 6 times. And again. But I'll tell you what I am going to do. And the only reason why I'm adding brightness is I'm trying to lift some color, not colors, well, color too, but some of the luminosity out here in these arms. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to bring this back to 500. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring the lightness back to 500. And I'm going to leave this at 400. And let's do this again. But you can start seeing that we're getting some yellows, some reds, some blues again. And I have more dust in the outer arms. And I'm not brightening my background because of the protected mask. By the way, if you hear all kinds of noise, they're resurfacing our neighborhood roads. They took up all the asphalt, and our roads were fine. I have no idea why they're doing that. And I'm going to apply it again, but I think this will be the last time, because I'll use another method for also saturating both curves and the saturation tool. But you get the idea that this does a very selective job of adding. Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, so I'm going to close this out. I'm going to remove the mask. And you can tell it's removed because this turned from brown or reddish back to the neutral color. And so normally I would make well, I am going to make a copy, and I'm going to put on this Starless LRGB, knowing that this is when I added the saturation, and so at this stage I'm going to need to work on my background. And I think what I'm going to do is bring my mask back up again, and so we want the luminosity, nope, I want the luminosity mask, and we'll apply that, and I'm going to invert it because what I want to do is darken the background but not the galaxy, a little, not a lot, but a little. So I'm going to bring up curves, the curves transformation tool, and put this on pause. Okay, I don't know why I said pause, but let's darken this background a little bit. It is going to have somewhat of an effect on the galaxy because the mask is not perfect. So I'm going to bring up the brighter side and make kind of this S curve, and I'm going to do this twice. No, I'm not either. That's plenty. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert this mask, and now I'm just working on the galaxy, and I'm going to bring this up slightly. Alright, so I'm brightening, oh, don't want that, reset. And I'm adding luminosity to the mask, and down here I'm going to darken some of the dust lanes, and I'm going to apply that. I am really impressed with the signal I got in this nasty light. Really am. That I've gotten excited. It just kind of means I'll be able to. Gosh, that equipment outside is loud. It's shaking my house. I'm going to go to saturation now, and I'm going to run this up just on the galaxy a little bit, and apply that. That's plenty. Alright, let's close this out, and let's check out I like it. A little noisy, but I've got a little more data on the arms, and we need more contrast, but I'm going to work on that right now. I'm going to go to the local histogram equalization tool, and let's create a real-time preview. I'm going to leave the kernel at 1.2. Let me zoom in though. I want to get a closer look and draw a zoomy kind of a box. And all right, there is. Let's raise it up a little bit. Yeah, brighten the core. Let's drop it down a little bit. And I'm looking at the contrast that I'm creating. You can see it coming out in here in the core. Okay. Bring this down a little. Alright, I like it. So I'm going to close this out, the real time, and before I do that, I'm going to make a copy and make sure I got let me cancel. And this is going to be LRGB and curves. Saturation, and we're going to put this over here. All right, let's apply it. Yes. I like it. Alright, let's remove the mask. And I'm going to run Noise Exterminator on the starless image. And we're going to rename this LRGB curves. Saturation, I know it's already in use, I'm not done. And local histogram, not local histogram. Can't find the keys. Local, so equalization. All right. So we have where that's applied after curves, and this is looking better. I'm going to run now the Noise Exterminator, and I'm going to clean up some of the noise. Tell you what, I'm going to run it on a preview first. I don't know how much to apply, so let's take this preview and zoom in on this, and let's try 90 first. It's going to probably be too much. Yeah, it's too much. So we don't want that, so I'm going to reverse that. Let's try 80. A little bit too much. It doesn't have noise, but I'm losing. If you let's toggle back and forth, kind of losing. Let's try dropping this down to say 70, and let's see what that does. Okay, I think it's where I'm going to leave it. Got some noise, but it almost looks like normal grain. I don't dislike that at all. So I'm going to go up to the, we can go ahead and remove this preview, and I'm going to apply this. Noise reduction, set at 70. Okay, it's applied it, and I like it. The reason why I don't apply it when the stars are after the stars have been added back is it's just simply because although noise exterminator is supposed to keep the stars from the effects of noise reduction, I know that I'm assured that it's not going to be affected if I run it before I add them back. So that's why I do that. All right, we are about ready to add them back. And I want to pull up the stars and see what work I need to do on those. I want to make sure they're adequately saturated in color. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up curves, and it's already on saturation. So I'm going to reset and make sure I've got the right activated. And I'm going to just drag saturation up some, but not a great deal. I don't like, personally, this is all about taste. I like my stars saturated, but I don't like to see, this is just the way I like to see it. This is for stars that were taken on a night with all this crap in the sky. I'm really just kind of blown away by how well they've turned out. So I'm happy with the stars. I don't see any. I'm not going to run any star reduction tool like morphological transformation. That does work to help reduce the star size, but I like them, and it can't be too small, not the size of this galaxy. So I think that looks pretty decent. So I have a starless version, which I have to have, and I have a stars version, which I need. I'm going to run curves after I've combined this, because if I brighten the galaxy, I also want to brighten the stars by the same amount. And I am going to run a curves where I do add some contrast to the galaxy, but I want the stars to be affected by it too. And so I want to add the stars back now. And I'm going to use a script that I've got from this YouTuber right here, and it's Lucomatico. And if you go to his videos, and I can't tell you exactly where he's got the scripts, but you can download them. He and Bill Blanchard have it going on. And so I'm going to go back to my deal here, and and I'm going to take this very first starless for rescreening, and I'm going to drag this onto my starless image. And what it's going to do, it's going to create a new image called Starless 1. And there it is. And so I'm going to take this image, and I'm going to put this over here. No longer need it. And then I'm going to take, I'm going to go down here where it says, I'm going to skip this. This is a different run. I'm going to take this one, Stars for rescreening. And this is going to give me a new image called Stars 1. It's just a clone. And so I have my stars, I have my starless original, and I'm going to add these back to one another. In order to do that, I'm going to go down here to rescreen the starless image and stars, and I'm just going to drag it over on my starless image, and there it is. I'll bring these over here, and I'm going to bring this over over here, and let's take a look and see what we have, and then I'm going to save this project before I go any further because I'm about done. And folks, for an image that was taken near a full moon on a sky polluted night, using a one-shot color camera, it's got to be something to do with that sky glow filter. So I take my hat off to Orion and this filter, and I really do, because if I remember, I'm going to go back and look at the image that I processed on April the 17th or 18th, and look at what the moon was. I'm not sure. I think it was I don't think the moon was a factor at all, but I'll double check. But I don't remember it being as much signal as I have here. So overall, I'm really kind of dumbstruck at how well it turned out for me. Now, in your neck of the woods, you might not be happy with this, but I am. So goody goody gumdrops. All right, I'm going to call this now M101, and I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to drag this over here. I'm going to go ahead and before I run the curves, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to say the project yet. I'm going to go ahead and run curves. I feel sorry for anybody watching this because I couldn't stand to listen to me ramble. I've tried to watch some of my videos and I can't do it. I don't know how y'all do it. My wife, I got 500 subscribers yesterday or the day before yesterday. Marianne said, you ought to send every one of those 500 some wine for watching those. Oh, been married for 55 years, so I can handle that. All right, I want to brighten. I want an S curve. So I'm going to kind of dumb down the background here. I'm going to bring this up some because I know right here, if you look at the curves, this is where the daddy is along that line. So that's what I want to pop up. I don't have anything saturated, so I'm going to put an anchor point there. And I'm just going to kind of pull this up, which is my galaxy. But I'm going to kind of leave the background down. Is that too much? Let me see. I'm not sure. I'm going to start all over again. I think that's a little bit too much. So let me find out my points here. So I am from here to here. The galaxy information is right here, and the background is right there. So I'm going to make another anchor point right here and another anchor point right there, and I'm going to take that there, and I'm going to take this down right here. There's where my background is, and this is where the galaxy is, and I'm going to bring this up. Wait a minute, I got to put another anchor point here to keep this thing, the brights from coming down, this part from coming down. All right, so let's bring this up a little. Too much. Let's bring this up some, and let's bring this up some. All right, let's apply this. Ooh, what was this? And let's apply that. And that's enough. And I'm done. The only other thing I might do is I might take this into Photoshop and add some structure using Nick software, only to create a mask and add some structure. And I might use the camera raw filter for sharpening in Photoshop, and also for a little dehaze and texture. but and some clarity. Those would be the sliders, and the only sliders I would use on this in Camera Raw. Either Nick's structure to add some more contrast between the dark dust lanes and the rim, and saturate maybe the blues some more. Let's try doing something else here because we can. Let's make a copy of this and it's S curve. And then the last thing I'm going to do before saving this project and exiting out is to go to our saturation tool. And I don't want to overdo this, and I'm awfully close to making that kind of a boo-boo. I'm going to create a real-time preview, and I'm also wanting to zoom in here on this. So just on, and I want to find these blues if they're available. So no, that's reddish. All right, I'm kind of going, there it is. So I'm going to reset this, and let's go down here to this blue, and notice where this, let me reset this again. Notice where this vertical line is. That's the blue I want to raise the saturation on. So it's going to be about right here. I lost it. Alright, so we're going to be about right here, and I want to set a data point right here, 2 of them, and I want to set 2 data points right here, and that'll keep this from going down. And I just want to bring this up. I want to bring the blues up, and so we're going to apply this, and let's get a new curve. And that looks good. Let's apply this one more time. That may be too much. And let's get another zoom in here. Okay. Let's reset this. And then let's go here. And let's go here. Okay, are they the same place? Yeah. Alright. I don't know that I really want to saturate that. Let's see if we can find some red in this mix. Yeah, they're over here. So, gracious. Let me reset this. And let me get back here to these reds. Alright, so that's about right there. So I want to set 2 points right here. Let's bring this back and anchor it over here. And then I want to bring this up. Yeah, I can grab it. And then let's bring the reds up. And let's pop those. Let's create another zoom in preview. Yeah, it helped. And let's pop those again. Okay, you can got an idea of what I'm doing, and I've actually, I think, overdone it. Again, it's a taste, but what I did with the saturation, I probably should have done this without the stars in, because it's having an effect on the red stars, it's having an effect on the blue stars, making the blue too blue and the reds too red. But okay, all right, I am bringing this to an end, and I'm going to call this saturation, the last final step in this process. I may come back and pick this up and work on this some more, because it's worth working on. There is more things that could be done for this. And the more I learn, the more I want to come back and pick this up somewhere, either right here or maybe pick this up back here somewhere. And yeah, okay, thank you, Orion, for making that filter. I'm excited about another full moon night opportunity to see whether I can duplicate this kind of signal with the Edge HD 8-inch and my ASI 533 one-shot color camera. I'm going to rename this Messier 101. I'm going to save it as a TIFF file in where I have the project saved right here, and it's going to be a TIFF file, 16-bit unassigned integer. I'm going into Photoshop. I don't want 32 bits. Most of the processes in Photoshop won't work at 32-bit anyway. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this as a project, and I'll be done. So save the project. We're going to overwrite the one that's already there. I can close out of PixInsight, and when I come back, voila, we'll be right here. So folks, I hope this helps, and thank you for watching. And I'll be making another one of these videos at some point in time. Until then, clear skies.